This is a non-profit fan-made review. Star Wars is owned by Disney, but Splinter of the Mind's Eye was written by Alan Dean Foster. Since their purchase of Star Wars, Disney has failed to provide Mr. Foster with any royalties stemming from their continued sales of his work. If you wish to assist Mr. Foster and other authors Disney is failing to pay, please visit the site in the description to see what you can do to help. Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Chapter 2. Chapter 2 starts with Leia stuck in her beat-up Y-Wing, stuck with constantly complaining 3PO and a gaggle of emotions at her recent failure. Anger at Luke for not landing right next to her, anger at herself for insisting on setting down, fear that she will miss her meeting, and fear that Luke will be dead. Also fear at the various sounds that are coming from the forest, and disgust at herself for jumping at all these noises that could just be a herbivore. Working through all of these thoughts and feelings, she settles on her best option, to stay put and wait for help. Luke is too good a pilot to have died, and if she goes on looking for him, they'll probably just miss each other. There's a sound in the bushes, and Leia fires her blaster at it, only to find that it is Luke. Fortunately, he dodged the shot. As Leia tries to leave the Y-Wing, she gets stuck in some quicksand-like mud, and Luke and the droids have to work together to pull her out. Leia's ordering Luke around doesn't make her rescue go any easier, or perhaps it does, as his anger and irritation generates enough strength to pull her free. They then set off towards the beacon, avoiding any further sinking pits. This hike takes several days, after which Luke and Leia begin to speculate on what might be at the beacon site, and why it didn't show up on records. Their ideas cover xenoarchaeological research outposts, possibly looking into the ruins that Luke had spotted earlier, and other possibilities. Leia hopes they'll have some form of subspace transmitter so they can call Circoporus 4 for help, though she feels it may look unprofessional to call for help from people who they were promising to give help to. They also speculate as to the cause and nature of the rainbow lightning storm that forced them to crash, with 3PO pointing out that even gas giants don't have storms that varied and high energy. Leia notes that something seemed familiar about the lightning, but if this were an RPG, she would have rolled low on her intelligence check, as she cannot remember why it seems familiar. Luke then gets a little irritated with Leia's lack of focus, and though he does his best to hide it, Leia can tell that deep down, he blames her for the mess that they're in. Luke preempts the argument by stating that yelling will just attract predators, and they continue to march in silence, Luke taking occasional pervy glances at Leia whenever she's not looking. Night comes, and they set up camp as best they can, making fire, stretching a tarp between a pair of tree roots, and putting R2 and 3PO on watch, while Luke and Leia huddle for warmth. There is yet another cringy scene where Luke almost kisses a sleeping Leia on the mouth. But his sense of honor, duty, chivalry, and possibly even the Force itself, tells him that this is a bad idea. Not only is she out of his league, but it is his duty to keep her safe, even from his own baser urges. At daybreak, they breakfast on tasteless food rations and continue towards the beacon. 3PO notices that a line of trees is in fact a metal wall. Traveling along it, they find an opening into a fairly large town or outpost. Luke is eager to get cleaned up, but Leia pulls him back, cautioning him that the town is far too big to be a simple mining outpost, and then pointing out a pair of drunks walking down the street. Drunks with the familiar armor of stormtroopers. This is an Imperial outpost. Leia leaps on this evidence, stating that the Circoporicians, if they were to find out that stormtroopers are in their system without their knowledge, will take it as an act of aggression from the Empire, and join the Rebel Alliance immediately. Luke slows her roll by pointing out that they need to find a way to contact the Circoporicians first. Leia recognizes the uniforms of several other people who are milling about as miners, and then hears the sound of something called an energy drill. She then remembers why the rainbow lightning seemed so familiar to her. It is apparently the byproduct of mining with an energy drill. It shoots the fallout of the energy upwards, and only specifically shielded ships can pass through unscathed. Additionally, such mining on inhabited worlds is supposed to be illegal due to all of the fallout that it creates. But, as Luke points out, inconvenient things like laws rarely stop the Empire. As it is an Imperial outpost, and they are wearing rebel flight suits, Luke suggests that they steal some mining uniforms. Leia is appalled and indignant that someone of her high status should rob from a possibly honest shopkeeper, but Luke tells her she doesn't have to steal it if he does the stealing. Finding the mining supply store locked, and not wanting to cause too much noise, they go around back, where Luke takes out his father's lightsaber and adjusts the controls, to produce a tiny needle-thin blade to slice through the door jamb. Luke grabs a couple old mining suits and starts changing. We then get another cringe moment where Leia refuses to strip in any close proximity to Luke for fear that he might peek, and Luke tells her that she's free to change in the spooky forest if she wants. After changing, Luke stares at Leia in her new skin-tight suit for a little too long, and comments how she looks kind of like a pinup girl, so she throws a boot at him. They then transfer their belongings to the pockets of their new mining suits. Luke had managed to hang on to some Imperial credits, so they go off to the local bar. Luke stops Leia along the way to coach her on walking less like a princess so as to not arouse suspicion. He also messes up her cinnamon bun hairstyle and makes to throw mud at her, but she stops him. She then takes care of removing all her makeup and dirtying her face up herself, then marches off to where they can get some decent food. This concludes my review of this chapter. I plan on releasing a chapter review every other week. Please like and subscribe and feel free to listen to all of my other videos. I published an entire Mimban campaign as well as a censored version for the kids.